Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deeply Graphic Design Cast. I'm Nick Longo. Today we're going to talk about something that's been quietly, maybe not so quietly, reshaping the design world. It's a shocking article that someone sent me last week and read through it and immediately fired back with some questions and some outlines and presented it to my students because it was one of those wake up calls that I hadn't seen in quite a while when it comes to our industry. It talked about the slow disappearance of the junior design job. That's the first big step that so many of us have relied on, right? It's fading. The expectations are rising when it comes to who you're going to be as a designer in that first junior level job. And for a lot of entry level creatives, that space between school and a stable career doesn't feel like a bridge anymore. It feels like a void. There's so many reasons why, but again, this article was in It's Nice, and it laid out some blunt kind of facts. It was basically saying that the junior design job is becoming extinct. I'll have a link to that report if you guys want to check it out, and it'll be at the bottom of the description here as well. Designers are being asked to start mid-level. New creatives are expected to self-manage, think strategically, and deliver polished work without the mentorship or the ramp up time that used to come with every job. I can't imagine my first job I'm being expected of almost knowing 5 years worth of strategy, experience, communication, all that stuff. You name it, the work experience within that company, say you're there for 5 years, all that stuff. You're almost being expected now to learn and have that when you come to the job. So without any clear entry points, only the super bold are the ones that seem to be breaking through. They're using self-promotion, they're using passion projects and peer networks and becoming essentially to gaining any visibility whatsoever. And peer networks are becoming more essential to gaining any visibility when you're looking for a job. But not everyone has the equal access or confidence to take that leap. And this shift creates a very dangerous gap. But also, I want to take it to the bright side and talk about a little bit of an opportunity and what we could do to kind of fix this. So while some will fall through, those who build their own paths, kind of create their own voices, and the visibility that you really, really want to project out there, those will be the ones shaping the next design era out there in our industry. So if you're a designer right now, not fresh out of school, not fully established, what do you do? So how do you survive with this weird middle ground and actually thrive? So let's talk about it. So the first segment I want to chat about is this collapse of the traditional ladder. Here's what it kind of said. Here's the career path we all thought existed. You intern, you get a junior job, you work hard. Someone mentors you, you grow into a mid-level designer, then senior, and then anything above and beyond that. Seemed like a simple path. But now that path seems to be a little bit broken. The budgets have become much tighter. Obviously, we've all been seeing that. The studios have becoming much more leaner all across the country. Everyone I've talked to is now working off of a much smaller staff than maybe they were just a year ago. Remote work and hybrid work, although have been super convenient and helpful and maybe even allowed you to get that job because let's say maybe the company wasn't in your hometown. What has happened with that is remote work has made mentorship harder. It's made gaining experience amongst the people that you work 8+ hours with every day. You're no longer getting that one-on-one kind of experience, mentorship, the learning processes and the things that are now missing because most people or a lot of people are working isolated. And AI, it can handle a lot of what used to be a junior level designer. And as we kind of look to the future, and it's still unknown, and I hope a lot of you listened to last week's episode because it was quite an eye opener for me, even as a person using a lot of AI systems. How do we know what the future is going to be like? And I think the one thing we can probably agree on is what it will affect first in our industry is a lot of that junior level task because it just makes more sense for a company if they could do that and let AI kind of do a lot of the beginning grunt work. Why do they need 4 to 5 junior level designers, if any? So the ones that get squeezed out hardest are the what they're calling the almost there creatives, the ones who've got the talent, the drive, the taste, but really no champion. And when they said that, I couldn't help but think back to bosses, leadership, even just coworkers that helped champion me throughout my career. Those were pivotal moments, tipping points that made a difference. When someone takes a chance on you, when someone gives you that nugget of information that helps you get to the next level, those were invaluable. And anytime I've been asked what were those moments in your career, it can always be pinpointed to single people, that just did that for you. So when there is no in-house mentor, no room to slowly build, that has made this level of, call it the career path, almost obsolete. So they're expected now, when you enter that level or the entry level, whatever it's designed or called now, you're expected to act like a senior designer before they've even had a chance to be a junior. And so if there's this gap, where does that leave you? If that's what you were relying on, just like everyone in the past, we've all relied on that moment and that period of time in our career to learn all of those things. And you'll make mistakes, and it won't be devastating because of maybe the level you're at that company. So where does that leave that person that's just almost there? So let's define a little bit more of like that middle zone and this group specifically. Maybe you've got 1 to 3 years of freelance under your belt. Maybe you've worked in-house. Maybe you're in between contracts right now, whatever it is. You've got some great work, and you know that you've got your tools, but no one's calling you a senior designer just yet. I've talked to so many people that I've either mentored or friends and colleagues that really want that. I get it. I wanted it too. I remember looking towards the senior designers on my team as a model. I can observe them. I can, peek over the cube that I was in for years and just kind of mirror what they were doing, find out what things they did to get to that next level. You can even, it's pure observation, but then again, these are coworkers. So you can just go right to them and say, how did you get there? How did you make that leap? Because if you are an ambitious person in any career, you're going to want that upward mobility. So if they're not calling you that, and you've got the skills, and now there's no clear step on how to get there, that's the part that was like this wake-up call. So you're now expected to self-manage, self-promote, and have a strategy for your career. So let me ask you guys straight up, does this feel like where you are right now? And if yes, hopefully, we're going to go over some stuff here, and this episode's directly to you. But I really think everyone could listen to this and kind of understand, benefit from it, or find those ways to help. Again, I'm a big fan of helping whoever's next in line. And if you know someone that's maybe a level below you and think that this would be a good thing for them to hear and listen to, please feel free to share this with them, because I think the more we know about this weird unknown, if we're not planning for it now, it could be too late. So the skills that will bridge that gap, this is the next segment I want to kind of chat a little bit about. This isn't about mastering software. It's like about becoming the kind of creative that no one can ignore or replace. When I remember someone saying I asked someone at a conference once, I think it was with my students, and I said, what's that one advice you would give them right now that that they don't? And this guest said, just become undeniable. And that hit me. And I remember going we can all learn from that. I don't care where you're at, right? But if you create the kind of creative that no one can ignore or replace, wow. That again keeps you a little bit more future-proof, and it makes you more valuable wherever you're at. So what exactly does that look like? So here's some kind of small sections that can help you build yourself to be that level of creative. The first one is creative decision making. Don't just follow a brief. You want to question it. You want to bring ideas to it. That's what will make you more valuable. And you're just not the pixel pusher. And, we've talked about that a lot. That term comes up a lot. And I'm sure you've heard people mention that. And there's nothing wrong with just being that if that's your goal, and that's what you want. But if you're not driving the direction, even in your current job right now, think of the difference you will make if you just question a brief or you bring a new refreshing idea to it in a meeting or to your boss. That little check mark, that little contribution will make such a huge difference to the boss, to your boss's boss, to a whole other team that you don't report into. So imagine the benefits of doing those things, right? So you are driving direction. You're not just pushing the pixels and walking away with some direction. You're actually trying to contribute. And what you want to do is start documenting the why behind your design choice. I remember being in many meetings when I was in the toy business. We would be reviewing the concept of a toy and thinking about its playfulness, its attractiveness. It's like, was it the right property or license that was connected to that toy? And then you had to talk about the whole manufacturing side of it and the cost, and was it below budget, and would we make a profit on it? So there was always that balancing act. And I just remember going like, don't ever throw out an idea, Nick, in these meetings unless it still talks to the other side, right? So like we'd find a way to make it more engaging or more playful, or it had more features for actually like less money. And if you could do that, again, you're now not just being this pixel pusher that's going to go back to their desk and create what was talked about. You're actually contributing to that and giving some idea there as well. So think of some other stuff. Clear communication and storytelling. Designers who can explain their thinking will get hired faster, period. Again, your portfolio and a winning personality are not the only two things that they're looking at. They want to make sure that you can explain your work, because they're going to want you to also be a bit of a sales person, a bit of a persuasion person. If you are that good at doing it, the minute I remember getting a little bit better at presenting my story and presenting the reason and the why behind my work, that's when I start being asked to come along on presentations. And they thought, wow, how cool would it be to bring creative there rather than just maybe our sales team? And together as a force, as a duo, we were able to present the work out loud, even no slides sometimes. Like the best ideas come from just a story behind it, a connection, something from your past, what gave you the inspiration. That's the stuff that can't be replaced. And as much as I talk about AI and all that other stuff, that I feel like there's no heart there, and you can't replicate the presentation and the delivery of an idea better than a human. So be that undeniable person there as well. The next area is taste, judgment, and a viewpoint. That viewpoint or that point of view you have, AI can just mimic design, but it can't replicate taste. I brought that up 100 times in my class because taste is that word that I love. That's probably my trigger word. When someone says that in a conversation, I go, that person gets it. The fact that they're talking about taste, even long before AI, if you have to establish this naturally and through practice and through interest and all those things. So your POV is what's going to make you stand out completely. So you're curating your portfolio like a creative director. You want to kill all the filler and just make it a most amazing work that feels curated. And you've looked at it and said, I have a taste for good design, good strategy, good storytelling. Or if there's something uniquely interesting about the area of design or creativity that you're in, make sure that point of view has been established. So what is a self-starting kind of mindset that you can take to kind of start developing this stuff? So no one's coming to save you. That is truly one of those things. That's not bad news. I think that's a green light in so many different ways. If you were waiting for your career to explode or ignite or do whatever, that's never been something that I think anyone, maybe by luck, it might have happened. But now, more days, with that and knowing that no one's coming, think of it as great news. Think of it as now you know it's your green light. You want to set those goals to get there. So how are you setting like weekly goals? I've asked my class this the other day. I was like, what are you doing to invest in your future? And I was so happy to see a few of them had some instant things to talk about and say, just today, I did this that I think ignited that, and I'm going to expect a call back on this because I did that. And they're seeing that train of kind of like good stuff happening because they did something. They saw a green light and took advantage of it. And a few of them still looked at it and said like, whoa, yeah, I got to start doing more. And even myself, I was like, what else can I be doing to kind of, if I have a green light in front of me, that means go, right? So what is a weekly goal you can start doing? Do you want to post more? Do you want to be more engaged on LinkedIn to be found easier rather than having to be in the search mode all the time? Do you start a new side project? Is there something amazing in your back of your mind that you've been hoping to launch one day? Do it now. Why not? Like that could get you the exposure one day of someone who's looking for that undeniable storytelling, thought starter, green light creative. And they're going to get an idea from that just by seeing your side project. Or just send that cold email. Just move. Just do something. The cold email thing has become my favorite thing to do. My track record, I don't even know. I just love that I still do it. It keeps me excited. It keeps me kind of like happy that I'm in a career that allows me to do this, or an industry. Like, I think that's just one of those things to get used to. And if you're uncomfortable with it, try it 2 or 3 times. And within weeks, you'll kind of like have no fear at all for that as well. Another great tip is curation over production. Don't do more, do smarter. That's so clear when there's someone on your team that works smarter, not by just doing more and looking busy all the time. You could tell when someone's just doing that and it's just filler. But if you're doing things smarter and you can observe someone and say, particularly if your boss sees you, do more with less, or do more in less time, or streamline the process a little bit and have a better outcome. That's incredible. That to me is that thing that someone will admire and hopefully reward. You also want to build a personal brand board. Like it's kind of like your aesthetic, your vibe, your niche, whatever it might be. When you can refine your lane a little bit, I don't do it mostly aesthetically or saying like my brand looks like this, because that's not what I am. My brand has to be nimble and change every different brand or concept or client I'm working with. So what I've built as my personal brand is the attributes I want people to describe me as if they worked with me, and knowing they're going to hopefully be a really good advocate or a part of my referral system in a way where I want them to know top of mind great things that I hold of value when it comes to working with me. You know, being flexible, being on time, showing fresh, new ideas, whatever it might be, trust, reliability, all those things that are on top of just the design thing. So by doing that, you're refining your lane a little bit. And again, you're building more things to be undeniable and memorable. Next up is adaptability and resilience. So things will change again. We're going to see these next few years, and I might do a episode in a year that's totally different from this. I was even just thinking about some of the first AI stuff we did in 2020 when it was me and Wes and Mikkel, and wow, we were like just talking about it we had no idea. We were, still to this day, I think, that's why I had Linus on last week, because he's quite an expert at it and a futurist when it comes to AI. So we have no idea what will happen and what's going to be changing. But what you're going to build if you stay adaptable and stay resilient is staying power. So what are you doing to stay powerful, to stay hungry, to be in this thing and to survive whatever storm or wave or pitfall is coming in the future? I think one thing to do is, I saw a great video that talked about this idea of journaling your pivots and your bounce backs. And what have you done when the road has thrown you, a curveball or something weird that you had to pivot, you had to do something. That shows you sometimes the most personal and the most kind of like unconscious decision making, because it's based on your decisions, your experience, and your past. So if you journal some of those or just write down a few times that you've done that, that is a growth story. And those are things you can bring up the next time you do have the next opportunity right in front of you. I know so many people that, like, I've done this as well. I remember going through the interview processes and I was like, I'm just repeating the same things over and over again. I have my 4 things, but I want to make sure there's fresher, newer, and more relevant things to talk to a person about if it might be leading to a new opportunity, a new career, a new job. And you want to have those things ready to go. So if you have these particular growth stories and these things that you've thought of in the past, they're going to be top of mind and they're going to be available for you even when it's that elevator pitch moment. So what can you do right now to get through it? We talked about some stuff to start building, but here's like your real world playbook. I just want to make sure you realize, as scary and as weird as a lot of this sounds, you're not powerless. You're just early. You're ready to do something here. And I think we all want to be one step ahead of where this is going. So number 1, you want to build those case studies that show how you think, not just how you made it. So when you're putting together your case studies, the why is so important. The why is that thing that I think is going to elevate you in years. Because if you think of this gap and now you're in the junior position, or you're that creative that is just on the verge of making it, whatever year, whatever age, whatever industry you are in, by building these case studies and really concentrating on the why, you will show off your kind of advantage and all of the things that are beneficial of you on a team and you working with them. So why did you make it? Take an old one and rewrite it. I've seen incredible success with people I've worked with, and I've told them, look at this case study. Take all the type out. It's A+. You hit all the check marks when it comes to the visuals and the project and what you made. What you can spin right now is how you rewrite it. Think of it as like a blog post. Think of it as how I'm showing my brain in action, not just pixels and creativity. What did my thought process, what did my point of view do to enhance this and bring it out? Second, using AI. Don't just use it in a way that it's like your outsource of your soul and your creativity and everything like that. I always use it as a starting point, not the solution. If I use it that way, I feel it works a lot better, because then it's giving me a platform, it's giving me a starting point, and I'm now bringing in the soul, the human side on top of that. If it's the beginning stages, I can just ignite that project now even more, because so much of that's already been done. Then explain what you brought to the result that AI couldn't. So even if you have a concept or a storyboard, or maybe it's like a mood board, the mood board thing has been pretty cool. Let's say I've populated it with a ton of the stuff that I've curated for a job, and now AI has made a really beautiful kind of collage or something neat that's really on brand and on point with it. I will mention on there, this was AI, driven. This was AI created, because I think giving credit in a certain situation like that solves all the problems of you won't be asked because it's right there in front of you. But then you can explain after that all of the things, the taste, the value, the judgments, the sensitivity that you brought to building whatever you made. That's the stuff that was a result of you and not AI. So if you really think about it, you're using it much more smarter to your advantage, but you're still highlighting all of the human attributes and the things that you're going to do. Next up is to reach out to real people. The best opportunities still come through the conversations, right? Reaching out to people has to be the easiest, lowest hanging fruit thing that you can do in our industry right now. DM a designer that you respect. Ask one thoughtful question. Keep it human too. Like, I think that's the best way to consider it. Any outreach I do, I obviously make it as as human and as Nick as possible. Like I will write it in my own way. I will kind of use my own words, but I think about the ask. I think about what I'm trying to get out of it. Keep it short, keep it simple, and keep it really thoughtful. You almost want them to want to like reply. And when you get that back, it's so rewarding, and you're like, okay, now there's something I can do with that. And now that's a new connection. That's a new person. That's a new person in your network that you can rely on, that they can rely on you. Remember, it is a two-way street when it comes to building your network. It's not just them helping you out. You might surprise you one day, and you might be helping them out in some way as well. So the next area, launch something, anything. That's the whole idea. A fake brand, build a zine, a monthly poster drop, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Just make something public. I've seen some friends really take on this thing almost organically. They started with something and found a way to kind of like make it really their own. And it's this thing that they can carry. It's this thing that's just theirs and they own it. I think there's something about us as designers that, or creatives, that do so much work for other people, that if you haven't done one of these launches of your own project, you don't know the feeling of designing just for yourself and like with no client, with no one reviewing it. So keep that in mind. I think that's one of those things that's like fun to do, but also I think it's another way to gain exposure. So just commit to one small, weird, wonderful project over the next 3 weeks and see what happens. Find your system. Is it once a week? Is it every other day? Is it every Sunday? That kind of thing. Next up, make your portfolio future facing. So that means don't just show your past, show where you are going. Add one like really unique passion project that hints at your next chapter. I've seen friends do this as well. I'm guilty of not really doing this because I think sometimes, your busyness and the amount of work you're juggling, whatever, make it really impossible sometimes to do this. But I can think of a few friends that have done something so unique that it checks that mark. What are you doing to hint to your next chapter? And you're basically showing anyone who sees this the future. You're showing them where you're going to be. And I think that's exciting. And if it's something new and fresh, someone's going to want to be a part of that, And that's one of those things that like, why not try it? Why not add something really cool? All right, next up, share your process, not just your final. So people love watching your journey. Post a sketch, post a breakdown, do something that's dissecting the project a little bit, a thought, and invite others into that mess. I think that's when I read that line, I was like, wow, that makes so much sense. And I've seen many people take advantage of this where they've done something really unique by deconstructing a project or breaking down their process of how they got there. And they show vulnerability. They'll show a sketch or an early concept that they will, more than likely tell you this was not good. And that vulnerability, that kind of humbleness is really, really neat. Invite people into that mess. I think that just turns us into something a little bit more human. And as we were talking about earlier, if you're trying to find those things that still AI can't do, this little area makes so much sense, and try it out. See what happens. Next up is redefining your success without the job title. Oh, wow. Yeah, I was so guilty of this when I was climbing corporate ladder and doing all that stuff before starting my own job. That shit meant everything. And I don't know what sparked it in me and why that stuff was so important. But in a recent interview, I was asked to define success. And I had a whole new meaning of it, thanks to these last 10 years of being more self-employed. And I thought back to times where I took jobs strictly for the money and for the success, what I thought was success. It might have been perks, it might have been all those things, and in most cases it was the title. And if you can redefine it a little bit to what is truly important, think of that first job you had. Maybe didn't match the salary you were hoping for, but you had a killer boss. You had a great coworker. That's currency. That's stuff you're learning from. So if you're redefining your success, here's a small like mind shift that can work. Success isn't a title, it's momentum, it's visibility, it's voice, and it's growth. The momentum word means everything. That momentum of like it's continually moving, it's continually growing and continually learning, and that's the kind of stuff that if we redefine success as those key words, truly success will happen. You know, because it's like you're looking at it from a different lens. You don't need to be hired just to be seen. And so if you are struggling in that thing and you're like, well, how do I do that like mindset shift of success if I'm in a rut or I'm in a pitfall? You know, you don't have to be celebrating the new job or waiting for that and get that email that says you got it to truly be seen. Some of the most successful creatives have built their careers and their platforms before they got any title or any perk that came with what we define as success. So ask yourself, what do I want to be known for? That thing about legacy really makes a difference. And when I took a mind shift with the word legacy 2 years ago for a talk I put together, and I let legacy be that driving force of, if I think about what I want to be known for, that is the best way to be thinking way in the future. And now I know everything I do for that is going to prove that one day. It's gonna hopefully bring it, because one, I've redefined success, and I've also talked about what it means to be known for. And I think that's a path we can all kind of learn from. And I'm still on there figuring that out, and I love it. It's great. Visibility beats perfection. So you can't get notice for your work that you never share, right? Like, there's that idea that I've seen some people holding on to like really great work, and someone or myself might push them to put it out there, and they're a little reluctant because it might be a little bit weird. But if you think back to earlier, we were talking about get weird with some of the stuff. That's the stuff you're going to invite somebody into that mess, and it's really cool. The best advice is to ship that thing, write the caption, and hit publish. Like, what you have nothing to lose, but what that is visibility. And if I was to narrow down some of the cornerstones of this whole conversation, probably the most important thing is visibility. You need to have that visibility. There's got to be a way for people to cross your path, and you're projecting a light out there that they're going to find. Because honestly, us searching is getting harder and harder, but they're searching more. And the higher you can be on either a higher hill or whatever it is, that your light is brighter and they can find it, man, like that's visibility. And that's a way to do it. I've seen people really successfully do something great where it's like a little weird, a little crazy, but they published it and they wrote a fantastic caption along with it, and it works. So that future belongs to somebody who is truly brave. You know, that's another key word. It's noisy, it's a little uncertain, and it's a little bit scary, but that's where the leaders emerge. I always look back at the weirdest people or the strangest people that had the most success, and the crazy ones. I was talking to my students the other day, and I don't think they were aware of Apple's big Think Different campaign back in the day, and they embraced the bold. You know, Here's to the Wild Ones was the way they started it. The ones that, you know, shook the system, they went against the status quo, all that stuff. And if you think about it, those are the ones that emerge into leaderships, into higher levels. So write down one bold idea that you've been avoiding and take one step towards it this month, whatever it might be. And feel free to share it. Like our captions in YouTube, our captions in Spotify, if you're listening there, and our social media post on Instagram. Tell me what that one bold idea that you've been avoiding is for a long time, and what is the step you're going to take to make it happen. Try it. I start a lot of stuff and I don't finish them. I'm guilty, like I said, of that stuff too. But sometimes to me, just starting something on the side and maybe it even fizzles out was a little burst of bravery, commitment, visibility, all those things we were talking about. to make yourself again as undeniable as like you can't pass up. That's the person that's going to survive through this. So final words, you're not stuck. You're early. Remember that line. I mean, what a prediction. And it feels like, if it does feel like you're a little bit stuck here, you're not. You're just early. This is the waiting game like that we've seen. And now it is like, it's done. Like the waiting game is over. Like it's the building phase. This is the time for you guys to kind of fight fire with fire and do something to make sure you're super future proof. You can kind of, I don't know what the true solution is. If that junior level job is gone, like you just have to we're redefining and rewiring what that first few years of your career look like. And to be ahead of that, you're in a good spot because you were just on the verge of it, of breaking through and becoming that designer that you really wanted. So the designers who rise now, who create their own relevance, they're going to be the ones that are shaping what comes next. I really do believe that. So don't wait for that ladder to come back or that bridge to come back. You got to just build your own and jump that void as best as possible. So let me know what you like. Did this work? Does it make sense? Are these things that are alarming but also promising? Because we've identified this now and we're trying to be early. Let me know down below your thoughts here. Again, the link to the story will be down in the description. I really suggest reading that and bring it up with a few creative friends of your own and spark that conversation. And if you're looking for that thing, like I said earlier, take that article and put it on LinkedIn, put it on wherever you play on social media the most, and see what other people think. Narrow it down, have 2 or 3 bullet points of what we talked about, see what people think. Get some other opinions on it as well. That's a great way to start that visibility. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, great article. Check it out. And we'll see you guys next week on the Deeply Graphic Design Cast. Later.
Thanks for watching the Deeply Graphic Design Cast. New episodes every week? Well, most weeks. Be sure to follow and subscribe so you never miss the latest. Now shut this off and go design some damn magic.